Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Manash. One of the most underappreciated drivers of human behavior is the need for certainty. We like to believe that we're adaptable, rational, resilient, and to a degree we are. But beneath that confidence sits a biological reality. Human beings are wired to seek predictability in their environment. It's not a luxury, it's a survival mechanism. From an evolutionary standpoint, certainty meant safety. Knowing where food was going to come from, understanding seasonal patterns, recognizing familiar faces and routines. These all reduced cognitive load and conserved energy. When the environment was predictable, the brain could operate efficiently, and when it was not, the brain shifted into threat detection mode. That wiring has not changed, even though the world maybe has changed a lot. In modern society, certainty shows up in more subtle ways. A stable job, a familiar commute, predictable expenses, consistent social norms. These all create a sense of order. Even when circumstances are not ideal, people often tolerate discomfort if it's familiar. This is why individuals stay in unfulfilling jobs. Investors cling to outdated strategies. Institutions resist reform long after the evidence demands it. Predictability provides psychological safety. The problem arises when the rate of change exceeds our ability to adapt. The change itself is not harmful. In fact, measured change is essential for growth. The issue is velocity. When change becomes constant, overlapping, and uncontrollable, it creates cognitive overload. The brain loses the ability to form reliable mental models of the future, and when that happens, stress becomes chronic rather than situational. Psychologically, excessive change manifests in very specific ways. Anxiety rises because the brain cannot forecast outcomes. Decision fatigue sets in as every choice seems consequential. Trust erodes not because people become cynical, but because stable reference points disappear. Even small disruptions begin to feel threatening. And you can see this clearly in periods of rapid economic, technological, or social transition. People become more reactive. They retreat into simpler narratives. Polarization increases because certainty, even false certainty, feels better than ambiguity. In extreme cases, individuals disengage entirely, withdrawing from decision-making as a form of self-protection. This is not weakness, it's physiology. The human nervous system is not designed to operate indefinitely in a state of heightened alert. And when unpredictability becomes the baseline, stress hormones remain elevated. Over time, that impairs judgment, it reduces creativity, and it narrows perspective. People stop thinking long-term and begin optimizing for immediate relief. Now, from an investor standpoint, this matters more than most spreadsheets will ever tell you. Markets are not just mechanisms of supply and demand, they're expressions of collective psychology. And when participants feel grounded, they take calculated risks, and when they feel overwhelmed, they might seek safety even in irrational places. Volatility is often less about fundamentals and more about uncertainty exceeding tolerance. The same principle applies inside organizations. Teams perform best when expectations are clear, when roles are stable and change is intentional. Constant reorganization, shifting priorities, and unclear leadership erodes performance. So then the goal is not to necessarily eliminate change, it's to anchor it. Progress has to be paired with structure. Innovation has to sit on top of a stable foundation. In real estate, this is why durable assets and predictable markets outperform speculative bets over time. And in life, it's why routines, principles, and long-term thinking create resilience. Certainty doesn't mean knowing exactly what's going to happen. It means having confidence in how you're going to respond when it does. I'm bringing all of this up because I'm observing a widespread feeling from people who I know who previously voted for the current president in the last election. They're exhausted by the continual changing of direction. Even if they want America great again, they also want life to return to normal even more than anything else. They want the chaos to stop. People who I know to be fiscally conservative, or maybe even conservative on social issues, are telling me the same thing. They're telling me this unsolicited. This means one thing and one thing only. The Republicans are going to lose the midterm elections in both the House and the Senate. Now, what I'm sharing is an opinion based simply on observation. It's not scientific, and I've got no data to back this up. I had a similar sense leading up to the last presidential election. At the time, many people were telling me secretly that they intended to vote for President Trump, but they were not publicizing it for fear of backlash. That told me that the polling numbers might be skewed, and that sense turned out to be correct. I was predicting at that time that Trump would win the presidency in 2024, and that turned out to be true. Was it a lucky guess? Well, maybe. So back to today. Some analysts say that political memories are short and a lot can change between now and the midterm election. That may be true, but frankly, the midterm election is upon us now, and it's only 9 months away. So what does the loss of the midterm elections really mean? It means an emboldened executive branch is going to continue to push the envelope of what the executive branch is allowed to do. It also means the legislative branch will likely initiate several motions to impeach the president, and this time there might not be sufficient support in the Senate to fully protect the president. It means legislative dysfunction and stalemates, and during that time, international actors will use the domestic dysfunction to further their own global ambitions. Now, this podcast is not a political podcast. I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. I don't even get a vote because I live in Canada. This is the result of observation and just talking to people. I'm sharing what I'm seeing. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.